Boyfriend got a promotion and suddenly expected me to do all the chores for free while calling me a gold digger, so I packed my bags and left only to find out he was driving around my town all day trying to spot me. I, 30F, have been with my BF, 34M, for 2 years. We moved in together 6 months ago and it was all good. We had an understanding that we would go 50-50 on chores and bills until we decided to have a child, as I would be putting my body, career and life on the line. He would obviously need to make up for his lack of risk by contributing more around the house and monetary. Because of this I believed we had an understanding on how we believed partnership should work. 2 months ago he got a slight promotion and pay bump, which meant we adjusted our cut of the bills to reflect that. But somehow he's comes to expect me to then take up the chores at home. It started with small things that I knew he could do like dishes and laundry and escalated to sitting down all weekend watching me do my half and leaving his half of the chores to accumulate. He blamed it on the stress and added workload, but we're both corporate and work at our desks regardless. I would be more understanding if his job was more physically demanding. It got to a breaking point when I noticed mold in the pots he was meant to clean. If either of us cooks, it's the other's responsibility to clean. He just kept the lid on it so that I wouldn't notice. I needed to take a day off work to catch up with all the cleaning he neglected. The last straw was when he came home without groceries, despite it being his week. Usually when either of us is too tired to do groceries, we let the other know in advance so we can at least order in food. I told him we need to add a cleaner to the bills if he's not happy doing chores anymore, because I refuse to do them if he isn't contributing fairly too. He made an excuse about not wanting a stranger in our flat. I then said we'd need to begin ordering groceries deliverers for the extra cost too if he can no longer be bothered, and he called me frivolous with money. So I suggested that I would be happy to take up these responsibilities. But it would mean I drop my working days from 5 to 4, and I would expect to be compensated for the sacrifice I'm taking to my own career so he can focus on his responsibilities. Because apparently they matter more than my own. And I would also expect to be paid an hourly rate for doing the chores at the average market salary for a housekeeper. He seemed so surprised and shocked I'd suggest that and didn't know how to reply despite having an answer for everything I said before. I started to feel like he was trying to manipulate me into a situation that was more ideal to him and less ideal to me. And if he loved me, he wouldn't be doing that. So I asked him if his friends put him up to do this, because I knew they all struggled to keep GFS, and he said a proper woman would be happy to look after the house. And called me a gold digger. I was shocked, because I wasn't asking for designer items, I was asking for fair compensation for my labor, especially seeing as it would dent my own career to take on all this work. So I called him a gold digger for wanting a private chef and housekeeper for free. I was admittedly angry at this point and also told him to stop being so proud of his promotion if he was too broke to afford a chef and cleaner and instead tries to manipulate the woman he loves to do it for free. Not really for free, because taking a day off from my salary means I'll be paying for the privilege to clean up after him out of pocket. I told him he was dragging me down when we were supposedly meant to build each other up equitably. The flat is his, so when he was ignoring me after the fight, I started packing. He told me I would see sense, but I didn't bother. I started to feel embarrassed that I didn't notice he was like this, and wasted 2 years to build up to this letdown. As I packed my car I said as much and told him to not contact me. I blocked him everywhere and he's now sending our mutual friends messages and voice notes to forward to me. My friends have been mostly on my side, seeing him as a bit pitiful, and I can see that. One of the male friends we have in common mentioned that he's been watching podcasts recently about masculinity, and I have a feeling this is where he got the idea to stall my future and put me under his foot to only serve his dreams and goals. I feel angry the more I think about it. He loved those podcasts' men's ideas more than he loved me, and now he expects me to feel sorry that he can't afford the rent without my contribution. But I believe he still thinks I'm the gold digger for not accepting an unfair division of effort and labor. If this has happened to any other women, how did you address it? I'm annoyed I let it trickle and accumulate for 2 months before addressing. Moving forward, I won't enter a relationship without having this outlined at the dating stage. I'm in my 30s now and don't want to deal with men expecting free women labor because society makes them believe it's worthless in comparison to what they do. Comments where Op has replied. Comment 1. This is a common trend in recent times. I had the same issue with my ex-BF of 2 years. Told me my responsibilities as a woman was cooking, housework, childcare and paying half the bills. His responsibilities were paying other half of the bills, being in charge, and making all financial decisions. I earn a lot more than him. Turns out that at the age of 32, he became a massive Tate stan. Like you, I didn't know he had been consuming the content obsessively. One of the last things he said to me when we were breaking up was, "All a woman is good for is keeping my stomach full and balls empty. You're lucky you left when you did." And I am impressed with how quickly you did it. I tolerated the misogynistic crap for months before finally walking away. Oop. I am glad to hear he is an ex. I did in the moment think I was being too rushed in my response, but my gut feeling was telling me he was not going to hear my opinion, let alone change his ways, if he didn't respect me enough to even do what he did in the first place. I am so shocked by the comments and how common this podcast pipeline was. He listened completely in secret. I was not aware in the slightest. There must be shame attached on some level to hide it, because we shared all the entertainment we consumed and even his football. I would sit down with him sometimes for important matches. Skeptical. Hilda. Comment 2. What messages are he sending you besides rent? Is he trying to get you back? Oop. Mainly apologies and explanations for what he said. The last message I read was about his plans for his career and how he wanted to become a high earner so I never need to work and he can buy me everything. Me and my friends agree he is digging a hole as he still ignores my career and goals. And after accusing me of being a gold digger, his plan is to make me a gold digger? Not sure, I think he is just in crisis mode now. Oop added more elsewhere about the messages. I am sorry, I realized after posting that I didn't elaborate. It was just the latest the string of messages he's tried to pass on, and it shocked me enough to make the post. It was on my mind when I typed the title before I went on rant mode, haha. He basically just mentioned that because I left without giving him time to adjust his budgets, I should pay for the next month of rent. But he lived there before, so I know he can afford it if he becomes frugal. My name was not on the lease, and when I mentioned I wanted to be on it, in my country having a paper trail of rent agreements makes it easy to rent when you move. A void isn't great, he told me not to worry. So I guess he kind of saved me from that in his own way. Edit, thank you for the overwhelming support. I see so many people have gone through the same thing and it makes me feel less angry that I found myself in this situation. I wanted to explain a few points that came up a lot. 1. He created an Excel spreadsheet that calculated based on income how we can fairly contribute. When his pay increased, he paid more monthly €80, and also had €400 extra monthly disposable income. If this is what soured him, I suppose he should have mentioned because it was his system, not mine. 2. We did not keep a tally. We had favorite chores. He likes to vacuum, I like to put dishes away. Sometimes he is sick, does overtime, or isn't in the mood, I would happily do it. Same with him for me. I only started to tally when a pattern emerged. It would be stupid to not take notice when he is consistently leaving things to me silently as if expecting me to silently sort it out. The mold was disgusting. The groceries were just the straw that broke the camel's back. I exhausted after only 2 months of picking up the slack mentally and physically. Couldn't imagine doing it without serious reconsiderations to our dynamic. 3. We discussed children because we both agreed we wanted the relationship to head in that direction, not because we were ready now. I would not have spent 2 years with a man if our future ideas didn't align. It's okay if someone changes their mind later, but communication is important. 4. He listened to these podcasts in secret, I had no idea. And we usually share the entertainment we consume together, silly videos and films. Update. Hey. I posted on this sub a few months ago about my relationship with my 31F, ex, 35M, falling apart due to his change in ideology and seeing me less like a partner and more like someone who only exists to support his dreams. The breakup was quick. I walked out after a major fight with most of my items, and my father went back to collect the rest while I was on FaceTime. I wasn't scared of him then, but I knew he'd try to talk to me as he was bothering all our mutual friends to get in contact with me on his behalf. Since then, I have slowly drifted away from our mutual friends, as no one has cut contact with him, and I just wanted friends who didn't feel like they were walking on eggshells around me. He had started off being very apologetic in his messages to me, through them, but quickly became mean and blamed me for everything. He lost the flat because he could no longer afford it, and moved to a studio. While he was heartbroken, his sister would look after him and clean sometimes, but even she got tired of it. He told everyone he was depressed because of me, so they all tiptoed around him. But once I started to drift off and hang out more with my hometown friends and reconnect, I heard less and less. About a month ago I got asked on a date and said yes. The man, 33M, let's say Martin, is completely new to this area and knew barely anyone. So we spent a lot of time together in the first week, just me showing him around and being more like friends before seriously dating. Somehow, my ex found out. I'm still not sure how, but I think a mutual friend saw me and reported back. He turned up at my father's house. He doesn't know where I currently live, asking to talk to me. I called a mutual friend to alert them of his weird behavior. It seemed to work because he didn't try anything for a few while. But then one called me to tell me that they found my ex has lost his job because for the past few weeks he's been driving around my town all day instead of working in the hopes to spot me. This has scared me, as I didn't think he was capable of that, but if you read my last post, you'd know I don't seem to be able to predict these things well. Martin is a tall, large man, so I go out with him almost everywhere since we like spending time together anyways, and I also have my friends and my father, so I don't feel like I'm in imminent danger, but this behavior sounds like the kind of behavior from an entitled and delusional man. And we all know how far their delusions of entitlement can take them. For him to lose the job he wanted me to prioritize over mine an entire start of our argument last time, doesn't sit right with me. At this point, the police here can't do anything as he hasn't acted and I can't prove that he has stalked me electronically. So the only way for me to find out more or resolve this is by unblocking him. I am grateful I blocked him so thoroughly because it allowed me to have a clean break, but obviously in his red pill mind that's not normal. Will closure help him? Martin has suggested that he'd even pretend to be a fully dedicated boyfriend to help discourage my ex from any ideas of reconciliation. Honestly, since our breakup I have been considering moving to Portugal, but very whimsically. Now this situation has made me think about it seriously. I write because last time, your comments gave me comfort and lots of insight and confidence.